Right here I have a cylinder head that is from a 2006 TRX450ER. And the first thing I'm going to point out is the TRX450ER cylinder head is totally different than the 04 and 05s, but the 04 and 05 heads are going to be included in this video as well. When you're porting a cylinder head or you're having a cylinder head ported, it is best to go ahead and get yourself a decent camshaft and a good exhaust. When I talk about exhaust, I am not downing on any other exhaust out there like HMF or Big Gun or DG. They all sound good. If you're going to be porting a cylinder head and you're going to be spending the money getting your cylinder head ported, or you're going to spend the time and port your own head, you might as well get an exhaust that's going to contribute to the power. These higher dollar exhausts, they're more expensive for a reason. DASA, you have Monster exhaust, Curtis Sparks, you have Rossier, which is now, I believe, Emperor, I think is what it is. Emperor, something like that. Those exhausts are actually tuned and tested to make power. The other ones like HMF and DG and Big Gun and all that, like I said, they can make a little bit of power, but they're more or less to make your bike sound pretty good. They don't sound bad at all. I'm not hating on them at all. Porting methods between the 06 and newer TRX450ER and the 05 and 04 TRX450R is totally different. I'll explain that a little bit later into the video. So the 06 and newer TRX450ER heads already flow pretty good from factory. Your first initial cutting is going to be using a carbide bit, and what you'll be doing is cutting the intake port and almost shaping the intake port like a capital D if you were to lay a D on its back, and the flat part of the D would be down here. So you're going to be flattening the port floor, in other words. And then if you look up here, let's see here, if you look up towards the top of the port where the valve comes through right here, you'll have your valve guide that comes through, and then your valve boss, whatever you call it. You're going to be sharpening this area up right here, and you don't want to take down any of this. You just want to sharpen it and shape it, and what that's going to do is increase the airflow around your valve stem, so that way it's not creating any kind of turbulence right here before, you know, it enters the combustion chamber when your intake valve's open. You want as smooth of a transition as you can possibly get into your combustion chamber. And like I said, they already flow pretty good, even with these rough cast marks and everything inside the port. And as for the exhaust, your exhaust valve guide is kind of shaped where it's not really aerodynamic. And what you want to do, I'll show you on the CRF head over here that I've got. Looking at the exhaust guides, you can see how they're kind of flat, and then the area where the valve guide comes through is completely flat. This is an area that you can actually get a lot of improvement out of, and what you do is you don't really take this down, you just more or less sharpen it up. And what that does is allows the air, of course, to flow smoother over the exhaust valve guides. And when it comes to opening up the exhaust port, you really don't want to open the exhaust ports. And the reason for that is because if you open the exhaust ports, what it'll do is it slows down your exhaust velocity. And what that does is that actually helps scavenge exhaust gases out of your combustion chamber, because your intake and exhaust valves are gonna open up just for a split second together, and that's what's called overlap. And when you have that, that helps pull fresh air and fuel mixture into your combustion chamber, and that's the whole point of exhaust velocity. So you want to keep your exhaust velocity up, and they come from factory, like I said, with an already pretty good flow rate. So opening the exhaust port up is really not a good idea. Just sharpen up your guides, and if you want to polish up your exhaust port, the polishing the exhaust port will help air flow out really smoothly, and it'll keep carbon from sticking to it. So another thing to talk about is de-shrouding. So around your intake valves right here, you will have this little lip right here. It's good to de-shroud this area and kind of, you know, give it a nice smooth radius with the combustion chamber, but being careful not to take too much of it out at the same time. You just want to basically roll the edge over real smooth. And what that does when you're rolling these edges over is more or less benefiting your engine from pre-detonation and all that stuff. It just keeps an area that can possibly turn red hot from actually pre-detonating anything. You can see right here is a pretty sharp spot as well that you can roll over. Like I said, you don't want to take it down, you just want to roll it over, make it a smooth little transition right there, because if you take down too much, you lose compression and you can actually lose power doing that. And like I said, you mainly want to just focus on flattening out the port floor, not all the way in, but once you get about this area right here, you want to start flattening the port out, and that just kind of helps the air roll in onto the valve bell. So now I have the 04 and 05 TRX450R head, and this one is a ported head. First, I'm going to show you real quick with the CRF head what these stock 2005 TRX450R heads look like. The intake ports on them, as you can see right here, this is almost identical to the TRX450R 04 and 05 heads. As you can see, they have this weird little bump right here, and then they have the valve guide boss, and then they have the valve guide itself right there. And the 04 and 05s, that is a big restriction on those. And what they do to fix that, you can talk to any reputable builder or anything like that. What they do is they'll actually flip this head around upside down. They'll actually fill this area with epoxy on both sides. And what that does is that corrects the airflow. So they fill that with epoxy, and then they will flattening of the port floor down there. And that completely changes the angle of the air coming into the intake ports to hit the bell of the valve. So here's what an epoxy ported TRX450R head looks like. So you can see here, this head is completely ported out. So I'm going to compare real quick. You'll see, like I said, this is almost identical to the 04 and 05 TRX450R heads. See the way that looks on the inside of this intake port? The port floor, as you can see, it is shaped like a D. It's a lot more flat versus the way the stock ports are usually. See the way that's shaped like a D? The port floor is flat. The port floor flat on that side too. And let's bring this other one back in real fast. You'll see how these are like almost perfectly round, and they got a lot of obstruction at the top. You can see the epoxy that is on the port roof, and this is perfectly all right to do on these heads. I've personally never seen epoxy come off. I mean, big reputable race shops actually do this, and just as long as you know what you're doing, of course, you can do this on the 04 and 05 heads. You can see this head is actually been deshrouded, which would be, so this is the deshrouding I was talking about. That is the area after you port the whole head. You kind of want to focus on that, because that'll help allow air at lower lifts to have a smoother transition into the combustion chamber, and it allows a lot more air to flow in just in general at lower lifts. You can actually see the difference right here with this ported 05 head. Right here you can see the 06 head does not have any deshrouding yet. This head is going to be ported and deshrouded right here as well. So hopefully you like this video. Next video, like I said, I should be doing porting and polishing. And that's going to be the next video. So if you like this video and it's helpful to you, give me a like and subscribe to my channel. Also, I appreciate you guys. I'm at almost 70 subscribers, which isn't a lot, but that's a pretty good start. And the stats on my YouTube channel are looking pretty good. So you guys keep on subscribing, and take care.